So we're going to continue with the login screen now. We're going to have the login screen. We have to build the login screen. So we're wasting time. We'll go and create a file for that entire screen. So let's see. What do we call this? Okay. We call it logreg.tsx. Give us time to home screen. This is everything there. Okay, from here. So let's be the root navigator for the login screen. We'll go to root navigator. Just delete. So I use login. So this login will be login new. Email string. Password. So for now, this is all we'll require for the login screen. So we can view the screen itself. Let's add this to our navigator. So our navigator will create the login screen. Let's just copy this, duplicate. So we're going to call this, let's call this user login. And this is going to take our create log dot. We didn't export it here, so that's why we couldn't find it. So let's do that. So my account is user authentication view. And password on. So it's JSX. And it's export. Export default. Result. So it's always possible view. Wait. Password to. So we're going to we use user authentication. Yeah, user authentication from login screen. This is what we're supposed to call. So in our login screen, where is it? Login registration screen. We'll come here and let's import. So this from root navigator, so we're going to import as root stack screen props. That's what we import. Root stack screen props. Then we're going to do here. Let's bring out the code. User login. So we can also take the navigation and then route. Take the route from here too. So that's it. That's like that. So click side. So is equal to use state. So use state, and the use state is going to be a boolean, and the initial state will be false. Then we're going to say show. It's going to show registration screen, and set to registration. We have to use bottom color, say white. And then I'm going to enter. So that's it. So we have a scroll view. So the scroll view shows the color. So that's going to be false. So you can use this. This container organizes what is available. So that you can use it on this container organizes this. But for me, right now, I'm going to this thing. So I see there. So I can drop it. Use that one. So skip it and then see there. Create a space. Come here. See this time. I'm going to go background. Color. Then shows. Make it scroll. Make it all false. You can see this one. You come back to that. So the other thing is using is all quite keyword. It's very form data. Very form. So we want the screen to be limited. So the limited. So we need to pass this keyboard. Restrict the remaining of the form. So as soon as we pass this, can import it. Look at this keyboard volume view. So keyboard volume view. You use keyboard volume view here. Let's say volume view. So let's get started. We want this done. Space bar. Maybe font size. Font size is 17. Font weight. Font to bold. Margin top. Margin top of 12. Then color. Let's get this color. 041B. What's yeah. So what we're going to do now, we're not going to say if. So here's right that issue registration screen. Issue registration screen is wanted to so want to display the label on the title for each screen. Initial state of our registration screen is false. So if it's not equal to false, if show registration screen is not equal to false, then we are going to display log into your account. So if this is not equal to it, we say log in to your account. Else going to display this code. Let's put a fragment there. Let's have a scroll view. So let's give a margin top. Give a margin top of 10. So inside here now, we're going to display a component. We're going to create a component to do our form data. So we won't have to repeat and write the same code over and over again. So what we can do, we're just going to a component, create the form data. We just need to create that component and then we can reuse it. So for that, we're going to into our component. Let's create a file. Let's go to user. We're going to use the data form .tsx. Then we're going to import. Let's import again. Let's copy it this time. Let's use the data form. Going to do this. So first thing is going to get the screen width. So I'm going to see our form. So we'll get it and we're going to screen. So we're going to see the width. So this is the dimension we want to use. So this is the dimension we want to use. So we're going to interface here. Let's interface user form. And we're going to have the dynamic. So we're going to choose two screens. Then we want to have the duration. Because we're using unneeded to display floating text. So we're going to go. So we're going to string. We will have the text. The text is optional. And it's also string. Then we have update text. It will also be optional. So we want to pass the text. That's parameter. Maybe string. That's all. So we can export const. Export const. We go user data form. User data form and so it's also going to do it. So user form. You take. So that's the data. Duration. Data color. And then the data color will just be black. Because it's going to be almost static. Let's do the color is black. And pass the text. And also pass the update text. So that's all for that. So for animation, let's go to the UI here. So we're going to the UI here and say let's write some function. So instead of the function we're using unneeded. So let's import unneeded from React. We will need this. Only this here too. So let's import unneeded from React. We also use it using. So we'll say unneeded view. Storage will explain. So we'll do the star. We'll use an IO star. So we'll do the star. Let's say star. So we'll just even like container. We'll use that container. And then we'll give it say what width. What will be? We will create that eventually. What color? Let's think about color too. Okay. So let's go now create a style. So before we do style from style sheet from Reality. So we'll say SD so const. So it's going to style sheet. Create. So it's a container. So I think we're going to have margin top 20. We're going to go versus white. So we're going to have reduce with 8. We'll have width there. And then we have a myself. That's what we want to center. That's it. So this will be container for our form. And then we have unneeded. So we have unneeded this time and unneeded view. We're going to get the star. So let's just go ahead and create the animation effect that we'll be using so that we can pass all the styles accordingly. You will understand very shortly. So we'll be using useRef. We'll be using useRef from React. So we're going to use useRef. I think I've explained useRef earlier. So we're going to say translate Y. So that's what I'm saying here. That's why I'm going to call useref. Let's call useref from, okay, let me import useref here. We're going to use, so useref from, so we're going to say new animated, then we're saying dot value, new animated dot value, and the current, the initial value will be 0. It will be 0. We're going to say dot current, then we're going to have constant border width, the border width that we wrote there. So the border width will be useref. So we have useref, new animated, value, and then the initial will be 1. Since we're already using a 0, so we want to make this 1. So let's write the animation. Let's call it transform. So we're going to transform the value, and that will be number. So we're going to say animated.timing, and then translate y. So we're going to transform to value. Then let's have the duration, and use native driver. We have to set use native driver to true for this to work. Then we're going to use easing. It's going to be easing. The easing we imported from React, and then .ease. So that's it, and we're going to come here and say start. So let me just use text here. Well, actually we're supposed to use text dot animation.text. So we have the label here. So after the label, we're going to have the text input. So we have our text input here. Okay, we need to import text input from React Native. So let's import text input from. So we use style. Text input style. style. So we start. And this is the value of text. So we value of text and change. Now we're going to change text. So change text, we're going to give it update text. Then we're saying editable equals true. Then on focus. So we're already under from focus, that's what we're going to do. So because I want to write data, so we're going to submit. And then auto authorization set on. Auto authorization set on. So we're already on focus. On focus on door, it's going to be using animation. So we're going to do that we've been using. So we'll say let's write input. So for input, the font size is 18, height 35. And the color is the color block. So the color block I'm putting in 10. So it's supposed to be 1 and 2. So I think we'll do here. That's what this means. So we're going to render this text. We're going to come back to the animation so we can see the user. Okay. So we'll see. Let's come back to our registration screen. So we can do that text just right. So that's our registration screen. So we have to scroll view and the same face. So we can bring the user, what do we call it? User data form. Yeah. So we can bring in this user data form. This is self-closing tag. And it will always require a label. So let's add the label. So label will be, so the label here, we can now give it a dynamic label name. Enter your first name. So enter your first name. Let's say duration. So we can use the dynamic duration to duration. Let's make it 300. Then label color. Let's enter label color here. So label color will be, let's make it black. So we render text. Yes, we render text. So text will be equal to, okay, for now we have not created the text, let's just leave it. Then update text. Update text is to take, it's a function, remember. The function, and that function is supposed to take text, and the text is equal to string. So we're going to write that function as well. So let's just keep it this way. So let's just write the function inside here. So this is, so let's call it undo sign up text change. Now we're going to text, so it will accept the text, and then its first name. So you have to write it out this way. It must be the same. So you just have to write it this way. If not, it won't work. So it has to be this way. So we're going to write that function up here now, so the error can go away. So we're going to say const undo let me see, I'm going to pass the text, pass text string, and then the field name. The field name is a string. That was the second parameter we passed inside there. So for now, we'll just leave it this way. That's what the second parameter we passed here. So let's see. So it's only the text now. So since our, okay, let me see if we can move on without the text. So we can come back to that because we really want to display. So the idea is, so let's go back to our cart screen so that we can navigate to this registration page from our cart screen. You'll notice in our cart screen, it said the proceed. So this is what we want to write in our proceed. So we'll go to the proceed. Let's proceed. So here, the whole reason for this story is if the user is not logged in, it will redirect towards the registration page. That's just the whole idea. And if you remember, we wrote what we call the context, the user context. So we're going to import the context here so we can use it. So, and to import the context, we exported the context as our user type. If you remember, you can see user type, yes, and the user type this is the provider. So okay, we also need to wrap the provider inside our app.tsx. Yes, I don't think we did that, so that we can access the user context, so that we can access it globally. So we'll come back to our app.tsx and wrap. So we'll import our user context here so that we can have access to it in all our screens anywhere inside the app. So to do that, we'll come inside the provider. We'll come inside the provider here. Yes, it's where it's supposed to be before the persistor. So we'll bring up the user context. So user context. So we'll bring everything in here. The user context. So bring everything here inside user context. So that's it. This is all we have to do. So this is the user context, and then I'll paste it inside it. Navigation, and that's it. That's what we need to have access to the anywhere in our app. We can have access to the user state, the login state of the user anywhere in our app. So we'll come here and then we can import in our cart screen now. We can now import the user. We'll use the user type now to have access to access it. So we'll come here. Let's create in here. Let's create a const. So we're going to say get user. So we're going to say get user ID and set get user ID. So that's talking to the user login ID, and then we'll use. So if we created the context. So if we created a context to access that context that you created, you will use context. So we use the create context here. If you remember, where is it? Create context. So to have access into the context we created here, anywhere we want to access it, we will use what? We'll pass use context. And so we'll say use context. So we say use context. Use context is supposed to be, okay, let me just import it directly. It's supposed to be from React. So we use context to access the context that we created. So use context. So we'll use context and we'll pass the user type. Remember, we exported user type. So you can see it has imported user type from what? User context. That's cool. So, and this is not supposed to be an array, it's an object. We're destructuring an object. We're destructuring. So we'll now come here now and say, so we want to see, before we proceed to the checkout screen, we want to check. So we need to check the get user ID and make sure it's not equal to null. So if it's equal to null, that means the user is not logged in. So we will navigate to the login page. That's just right there. On the login page, we call it user login, right? Yes, we have the user login, and then we're just going to pass an empty parameter. I'm not passing anything to that. So we can now say else. If the user presses the let me go to cart screen. So if the user presses proceed, if the user is logged in, you also want to check if the cart is not empty, because you don't want to send a user to check out when there's nothing in the cart. So we want to check if the cart is not empty, if it's not equal to 0. If it's equal to 0, I think we've passed the function before. So let's just go and check it where we use our use effect. Yes, here. So we will navigate the user. We will navigate the user to, let's navigate the user to the home screen. So remove this. We'll take the user back to the home screen to go and add items to the cart. Else, if everything is fine, then we can now navigate to what? We'll navigate to what checkout page. So we'll put it here, although we've not written that. So we'll comment it out. We're not there yet. So that's it. Oh, I see the error now. Then I need to close this. So this is where the error is coming from. This is the scenario. This is what's happening. From the user context, what we passed here is as our initial value here, as our initial state is an empty string. Okay, we passed an empty string here, and then we came to our cart screen, and then we're asking the question that if it's equal to null, there are two different things you get. So there are two different things. So it's either you're passing an empty string here in the null, or you retain the null here and come to your user state and user context and pass null here. And if you remember, we defined the get user ID as either string or null. So it's either you're using a null value here in place of string, and then it will read there, or if you are passing string, we pass an empty string as our initial value here, then we must also compare them accordingly. So it should be here that if the string is empty, so if the string is empty and you parse, so we have to, let's get it. So if the string is empty and you parse it, it will go to the login page. Or if you like, you can still retain the null and then pass null, because here null is our default value. We would have passed, let's say if we, okay, let me just take it here. So if I press it now, you see, boom, that's taking us to what? To the login to your account page. So let's say we passed null here. So if we passed null here, then we need to pass null here as the default value. And you know, we gave it, it's either accept null or string, so it can accept any of the two. So if we do it this way, and then see the state of the app changed, so it has to reload. So if we pass it, okay, we have not saved the cart screen. So we passed as null as well. So if we pass it now, you can see, boom, we have moved toward the registration screen. So that's the idea. So you can choose whichever one you want. So I'm going to use an empty string. Here I'm going to use an empty string. So if we come back here now and say, so it's showing us what, go to your login account. So for now, so let's quickly work on the login page. So we're going to work on the login page. So okay, we were working on the registration page. So let's just change our function here. Later we'll take it back. So that we can display the registration page. So we can display the registration page. So let's make it so it's in register. So we're now at the screen. We'll go to, okay, let's just make registration screen is equal to true. so we can display for the registration screen. So let's make it, so we'll toggle it back so that we can just see this animation. I just want to show the animation. So you can see the registration is already rendering and showing what the, it's showing your enter your first name. So it's already showing here. So what we're going to do now, we can now go back to the user form data and then adjust it accordingly so that we can display everything so you can see it in real time. So we'll go back to user form data. So we'll come here, animated.view style. So we're going to have the container, and then let's do the border width. So we'll come here and do the border width. Start from the advanced and style. So we'll say transform. We don't use a transformation, so we'll say transform. We're using the transform this type, transform this type. So we'll say transform. Then we'll use translate. So we'll say translate y. And we'll say trans. So we're using translate y, trans y. So we'll come here. So come here into. So we'll value, and then set the value. So inside our animated view here, let's start with this. So let's say star. So it's going to be over the state. Let's say animated for animated. So the animated star here. So let's go with that. So we have animated star. So let's have top 5. Top 5 we have left. Position of your suite. I will say for the videos. Radius 90 and z index. Index 10. So we left and see the changes there. Right? And see changes there. So let's remove this. So we come here and then since we use the border width. Border width is here, border width already, border width, and we click on value 1. So that's what start from these and border width here. So let's get the border width. It's supposed to be inside. So we're going to have border width. Border width will be what the border width created. You can see we already have border width for it. And then we have border color. So let's create border color. So border color will be 1. So let's create border color now. Let's create border color. So let's create an animation for border color. So you can see everything the border width of the initial equals 1. So we'll come here now and write border color with the animation for border color. So response border color. Border color to be so we want to see border width, so we leave. So once border width, so we use the interpolate function. Use the interpolate function. And then we have to pass the input range. The input range will be the input range is 1. We're using 1. Then there's a thing. So the output range will be extra width. And the input range. So it's always saying, for the border width, I'm still going to go with the change. So for the border width, the initial state, the initial value is 1, not state. The initial value is 1. So when the input is 1, we are telling it to display what? It should display the output will be what? Gray. That means the border color will be what? Will be gray. And when the input changes to 2, when we change it to 2, the label, it will use what? The label color. And we are going to create the label color too. You understand? So the label color is essentially what we pass here. So you can see we pass what black here. So at the default value is 1. So when the default value is equal to 1, it will maintain the label color of what? Gray. Or when the label color change, it will change to 2. Once it changes to 2, it's not what the label color that we pass here. So you see how we interchange them out eventually. So we'll go here and then. So you see? Just use this screen, then it's everything is find, zoom it out. So everything is really just this way. Just this way, we can see it. So that's the idea. So it maintains the default value is what? So from there we go to the next one. So here now we're using the start and then we're going to pass the this one. So I will transform it. So we're essentially transform and that transform is translate y. So you see eventually, so first continue that we're going to go to the text. This text now will be animated text. Then we're going to pass animated text. So this animated text, we're going to give it a color. So when we change the color, remember we passed down in animated style. The animated style is when the user press on the field. So the translation is y. Okay, so that's what we're going to for. We'll do the color of label. Let's say label color animation. Label color animation. And let's create the label animation here. So I just need to copy this. Just change it to it. That's what we do. So label color animation. So we have label color animation. And the label animation is the color width. And the color width at default settings, it will maintain the initial color. Else. So our border color, let's make our border color here so that. So let's make it orange. Let's make it orange. So the default will be black, and then when there's on focus, that's when it will change. So we'll write the on focus handler very shortly. So we'll make this label color. So label color is the default is gray. It is gray, and then when the user toggle it becomes what? Black. So that's what we're doing. So clamp, and that's all. Then let's make this border width color black so it can be more visible. You can see that the color changed. Let me go back. You can see it's green now, but when I change it to black, cool, it changed to black. So we'll come here. So come here inside our context, let's write the handler. So on focus and block, let's write the handler for both focus and block. Like we'll see how everything works out. So let's write the handler for both focus and block. Block animation properly. So let's see constant focus. Focus and so we're going to transform animation, make it equal to -13. And then we can border width. Let's go with animation. We're going to write that animated border width. with 2. So when I need to border with Shopee, then let's write constant on blow. That's when it's not in use. That's when it's down blow. That's when if it's not in use. So we'll say if text. If this text, then it will return else. Or to pass. When the pass is equal to 0, take by default, and 1. So we'll write animation border width now. Write function for animation border width. So I'll just copy this and change to animated border width. And here, we'll pass. And it's going to pass border width here. We'll pass border width, so border width iteration. And we'll things. Okay, there. So we're going to change text. And then we're going to write on focus. Let's write it here. Let's say on focus. And we'll pass the on focus handler into it. On focus handler. And then on blow. We'll pass the on blow handler into it. So we're going to have a label. So the border width is showing an error because it's saying native driver is supposed to be, this is supposed to be false. Yes, native driver does not support. Yes, so this is supposed to be false. That's where the problem came from. So this is supposed to be false. That's where the problem came from. So if you check our on focus handler now. So if we save, you can see cool. This is working, isn't it? So if we get out of it, it comes back. When we press it, so if it's focused, you can see it's translating the text. It's translating it by -13 that we wrote here. Where is it? So there's it's transform animation is now working. So when it's off, when it's focused, it will transform it and change it from the default value. So we are taking they transform it from the translate y, which is 0, and it will move it to -13, which is causing it to move upward. So, and then when it's not focused, when it's on blur, the first thing we say, okay, if there's text, it should return. That means if there's text, it will stay there. Else, it will return the transformation back to the initial state, initial value, which is 0, and then it will, the border width will become 1. So that's why if it's on focus, you can see it brought it back to what is 0, and then the border width also what 1. So and then so if we come here. And then we said, okay, if the border width, if the border width is 1, it will display what color of black, and when it is 2, it will display what the color of orange. So we now pass this border color into, so it's going into the animated border width. So it became 2. When the animated border width became 2, it will also change what, because the animated border width is listening to what the border width, and it's changing the value. So it will change the value from 1 that we passed, and it changes to what 2. Because that's what's happening here. So when it's focused, the border width will change from 1 and change to 2. And then we now come here. So when the border width is equal to 2, when the border width is equal to 2 here, it will display what? An orange color. That's the idea. Does it make sense now? So that's what we are doing. So quickly, we want to give the space. We want the enter your first name to show clearly. You can see the borderline is still there. So we can write an animation to remove that. Let's leave it around. So leave it around color to use it. And there's something to use. So if it is equal to 1, it will display black, and then so it will display white. And it's equal to 2. Okay, we're actually going for the label. So the label is supposed to pass font size. So we are supposed to pass the label font size. We didn't pass that. So this is for the label. So you see what's happening. So when the distance is equal to, when the label is at 0, we will have you see we reduce the padding, or the font size was reduced, and when it is focused, the font size will be increased. So say when we're looking at the border width, so it should be 1, border width as 1. So when the input is 0, and then it should be 14, and when it is 2, it will reduce the font size of the label. So that's what we're saying here. And so here we can have the font size, we can also have, so the background color is the background color. So we the background color here is equal to the label background color. Then the next thing we want to do is the padding. We want to do the padding. And the padding will be equal to, let's just put that here. So for the background is the background. Then we'll say this label padding. And the label padding when it's equal to 1, we make it padding of 4. Padding of 4, when equal to 0, padding of 2, when equal to padding of, so we bring the label padding here. Label padding. So you can see it's at the center. So when it's focused, you see now. So this is cool, you can see. This is the idea. So when we give it a background color so that so that it can cover, so that it will cover the border there and make that one obvious. So it will cover the border there. Where is it? Background color. Yeah, we'll give it a background color, this background color, and when it's not focused, we make it white so that everything will be it will blend with the color of the field. And when it is focused, so when it is focused, you see it will animate and change the background color and give it a background color to give another background color. So when it's animating, and that will cover what the width, the border there, and it makes it cool, isn't it? This is lovely. And let's say when we put the text there, you see it will retain it. So when we put the text, so the reason why the text is still dropping while the label, the placeholder is still dropping, is because we don't have our text. We have not set our text, so we need to set the text. We need to set the text. You can see we comment it out here. So we need to set the text, and the text will be equal to, so we're going to create, the text is going to receive the input from the user. So it's going to receive user input, and this is for the first name. So before we add the text, we need to, okay, I'll still comment this out. So let's write the text. So let's write the user form input. So we're going to get the user form from, we're going to get the user form from the route. Going to be an object. Going to be the first name. Last name. Password. Number. I'm going to save everything inside and save it. Let's wait user registration. I'm going to save everything. First name, email, mobile number, the password, the confirm password. So create a state for that. There's a const. Remember the password registration to it. Yes, that's all done. So come into the text here, and then we pass. Let's come into the text here. Then we just pass user sign up form dot first name. Correct. This is all we have to do here. We have not passed the unchanged event. We only wrote it here, but we have not passed it. We have not written the code for it. So let's write the code here. We'll come here. We didn't write anything here. You can see it. I'm just going to console.log it. So you can see as the event is updated. So we're just going to console.log the user sign up form. So we're going to console.log this so that you can see as the event changes. So what we'll do now is we'll come here to write the unchanged event. So for the unchanged text, for every text, when the text changes, we're going to set the user sign up form. We're going to set it, and it is going to be, we're going to take the current state of the form, and then only update where the change is required, the field where the change is required. So we're going to take user sign up form, and then remember we use that field name. So that's the criteria we use to specify the field where changes are being made. So we call it field name, and then we're going to make it equal to text. That's all you need to write. So if we go now, we're supposed to have, so we go to our first name, and you can see it's working. It's working. Let me change my console, my terminal here where we have, good, you can see it's updating. So it's working real time. So if I go there now, and you see as I'm making changes, it's updating it. And if you check the first name field, you see that it's been updated. So let's write it. You can see the first name field is updated here. You can see, good, and you can see the update. So it's only recognizing the first name field. Others remain what undefined, but the first name field has been updated. So if you can see standing, excellent, isn't it? So we'll move on. So all we just need to do is duplicate you just need to duplicate that form, that component. Just copy this, paste it several times. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we have 6. So say now we have 6, but we have 6. I can say because it has not been activated. See, it's dropping the name, it's dropping the leader. So the first name, next one we have is the last name. So let's change it already. So my first name here, let's this last name. So make sure that the name here is the same as the name here. If not, it might not work. So the name has to be the same. You know, it might not work, may not work. So I think after name we have email. After email we have, so after email we have mobile. So let's do mobile. Is mobile? Okay, so mobile number. This is supposed to be mobile number. This is mobile number. Then after mobile number, that's what I confirm as well. So put this is the first name at the top. So first name, mobile. Okay. First name, last name, first name, last name. Instead of email, I'll change this. First name, last name. Oh, where's the first name? First name, last name, email, mobile number, password, confirm password. So that's all we need to do. So we need to write the code for the login screen now. So come here. So if it is not registration screen, then we'll login. So what do I do? That's what the format in here. I'm quickly going to take one of the text here. User data. So it is right here. So let's get to it one more time. So this will be for login. So here we'll see. So we'll use new. Let's go right. The function for login. So it's missing that to the registration. So we can just copy the registration now. Copy registration, copy this too. So we can also use for the login. We'll create the login pattern. So just copy this 3. Just copy the login pattern. Then the first and the last name. We'll put in mobile. Then we can confirm password. So we'll call user login. So user login will be equal to the login params. This. This is login. So let's see what we do now. Just export this for now. So on your right, select from here. The login form dot in here. This will be undo. What's in here? Password. So here we go. So this way of the text down here. That's the view. As you can imagine, setting. Flex direction should be row. Then line items. So this second space between. So it's fine. So we got the text here. So it's text. Give me load. From the text. Or password. So give it a star. Give it some star. Give it font to it. Put it to board. We'll see. I think it's a dog. Let's put a star. Can you imagine? So if it's not sure. So here what we actually want to write is if it's not show login screen, if you're not on login screen, it will ask you, it will give you the prompt for login. And if you're on registration screen, it will give you a prompt for login, and if you're on login screen, it will bring a prompt for register screen for you to toggle between the two pages, between the two screens. So that's what we want to do here. Possible. So let's start. Let's get it. We have 200. Go back off. So as you imagine, the photo menu is a photo as well. But it's 15. So let's do that text here. Okay. So let's go and press. So we can press function actually. Then we can text. Text align center. Let's use one size of 16. Font weight of bold. So let's say login here. That's it. And so if it's not registration screen, that is it's login screen, it will display register. The person for register. So we'll just come here, let's copy this. Paste it here. We'll call this register. So right now press function. So I'm gonna so let's run it right now. So you can see. So if you're on the register, it's showing the register. If you're on the register, it's showing register. Okay, it's because we've changed our toggle to true. That's why you have this. So let's go and maintain since we have both for the login and then the sign up now. So we can come back here and turn this to false. Okay, this is the button for the register and for the login. You can see you have the buttons activated. They are both active. You're supposed to have border radius instead. No bother with. I want it to have radius. Yeah, this is what we wanted. So it's better to go this way, right? So I think we can continue from there now. We still need to display one more thing. And I think let's move this login screen a little bit downward. Yes, here. If we make it like 70. Cool. I think it's better this way. So we still need to display something else. So let's just copy these. We'll just use this and toggle it. So to make a little faster. So we're just going to copy this now. We'll bring it here. And inside here, this is what we'll do. So this one here, we'll here. So we're going to press it too. So in here, you press. Okay, let's give it start first. Let's give it start money top. We're going to give it start money top. So we money top 15. Money top 15. Then I'll press event. So when I press what you see. So I'm going to set show registration screen. I'm going to set the true here. We'll set the true. Then we'll render the text. It says we don't have accounts, then sign up. So we take our identical color, it's going to be gray. Probably font size, new font, width. And so come here. And just copy this instead. Put it here, yeah. So come here, let's give it style. This one will give it style of margin top 15 and margin bottom. So you tell it. And you're going to say, okay. So we're going to do false. I'll press it on this false. And on your account. On your account, so we'll say login. So I think that's right. That's right. So I think that's the video remains the same. So you see now you can see. So for login page, you can see showing don't have an account, sign up. And if I toggle that now, it will go to registration page. So if I press that now, you can see we are in registration page. And registration page, say already have an account. Already have an account in registration page. Go to what login. So if I press that now, it takes me to what login. And for login, it's saying don't have an account, then sign up. It makes sense, isn't it? That's the thing. And that set state function, set true registration screen is what's helping us. So we're moving in between true and false, and that's what it's moving it from one screen or one page to the other. Makes sense, isn't it? So now let's do the registration, the handler for the registration. So we just wrote a handle. We've not actually written the code to handle the function to handle the login and then registration to submit the post request, to submit the form. So let's write the code to submit the form now. So we're going to write for sign up first. So let's call it, where is it? Let me call it handle user registration, or let me call it submit. Registration form. We'll come here and write the code for that. So just copy this, bring it towards registration. Yeah, let's bring it here. Right, submit registration form. Cool. So we're going to be using Axios. We're going to be using Axios to submit the registration form. And we're going to be sending the IP address. First, we use Mac computer. I'll show you. If you're using Mac PC, all you just need to do is this localhost. You have the IP address then slash localhost, then your opt name. You can put the route. So I'm using Windows PC. So for Windows PC, sometimes you need to pass the IP address, not work. You have to pass the IP address, so it's also I'm going to use the IP address. Then I'm going to pass 9,000. So I'm going to user, I'm going to register user. And then the user sign up form. So the user sign up form, that's what we're passing into it. I'll use the then function. So take a response. Take a response. So let's console log the response. So consider response. So we'll write alert. So successfully given alert. User registration. User registration is completed successfully. So user registration successfully and done. We need to set show register screen to false so that we direct the page to the login. So that user login after registration. So it's set. And we need to empty the user sign up form. So to empty the user sign up form, you just pass the user registration params. We go back to the initial state which is empty, and then we come here and do catch for error. We catch for error and then we catch for error. We say alert, there's an error. It also alert, and then say registration error, and then delete error message. There should be an error message. Yep, there's an error message. And we also want to console the error. If there's an error, also log that error. I think we're good to go. So that's handler for. So we'll write handler for login. So for user login, let's copy this to be similar. Remove this. So for user login, it's going to be similar. Submit user login form. Where's the press this? Where's the system registration? How is it? Yeah. So submit user login form. So submit user login form. We'll use this post, and then we're going to pass the user login form. We'll pass the user login form. And this will go to user and then login user. We're going to login user and we're going to call this. So when the user logs in, if the login is successful, we want to save the user ID inside the token. We want to get the response, and there's response.data.token. So we're going to get that token. We're going to make the token equal to the user ID. We'll do it from the back end, and then we want to save that token inside our async storage. So we're going to give it import async storage. It has been imported automatically, async storage. So we're going to use what we call set async storage.set item. That's what we call set item. Set item. Let me check and be sure that async storage was installed. Okay, well, I think it's been installed. So dot set item, async storage dot set item. And let's call it. Let's give it a name. Let's save it. This is the name we want to save it as. We want to save it as authentication user, and then we want to pass in the token. So we're going to save the token in there. Let's see. So let's see why it's throwing an error. Let's see if async store. Oh, sorry. It's supposed to be dot. Yeah, that's the thing. So it's supposed to be dot. So async storage out, and then so we can alert if it's successful. You say user logged in successfully, or let's say login successful. Login successful, and if login is successful, we want to redirect. We want to redirect the user back to the screen. That we can redirect the user back to the cart screen, or you navigate to the next screen. So for now, let's just use navigation dot navigate to cart screen. So let's say product. So we're going to say product cart. I think we had it was cart screen. Okay, sorry, it's supposed to even bring it up. Yes, cart, yes. It'll bring it up. And then the parameters it wants us to pass now. So we're passing no parameter. Cool, it's fine. So we also we'll set our user login form. We'll set the user login form too. Okay, no, let's use this first. Yeah, so this one will be, we don't need this in this context. We don't need this. So set user login form. So we'll set user login form to user login form. User login params. Let's check our set. So it's supposed to be set user registration form. User sign up form rather. Right here. So this one is supposed to be set user sign up form, while this is set user login form. So after that, let's set user, then we'll catch if there's an error. So we can see login error. Just if there's an error, so login error, then it display the message. And I think right now that's all we have to do here. So I think that's all we have to do here. Let's just continue. So we need to do the back end so that we can create the account, so that we can create the user account. So the back end is our back end. So let's create the user model. Let's create user model here. Create user model. Let's say user model. Yes. Let's say user model. Let's user model export. Then go to the schema. Go to the schema. Then we'll go to our detail and create the params for user there. Create the user params and detail. So let's go to DTO, let's go to user params, use the TypeScript for user. So let's go to export. Let's see. Let's go to user, other params. And then we're going to, so we're going to use first name with string. We'll have last name with string. Let's continue. New with string. Number. So user address for user address props. Let's go to an array for user information. So I'm going to create. Let's create that up here. Let's export interface. User address info. User address prop rather. User address props. So we have the first name, the last name, the email, the mobile, everything with it. So let's just copy them. This here. Copy this here, and then we have the delivery info. Delivery info with string. We have the region with string. We have the city with string. We have so we need to pass the ID too. So that's it. That's it for now. So go back to our, let's go to our model. We're going to import. Okay, let's continue to import actually. So let's go schema. So we say user schema, and new schema. Then we have the first name. So we type of string. Require retrieval. Then we have the last name. Last name we type of string as well. And required true. We have here. Here we type of string. Required withdraw. Mobile number. Mobile number we type of string. Password, confirm password. So we type of string. And required is true. Then we confirm password. It's true. So we have, if you like to add a user verification, I'm not going to this project, so you can have user verification on. So we have, so we have user address info. User address info. So user address information is going to be an array, an array object. So it's so with our first name. The first name will be string. First name will be string, last name will be string. We have email, it also be string. We have mobile number, also going to be string. We have a delivery info. Delivery information will also be string. We have region, yes, pass region will also be a string. We pass city, it also be a string. That's the object we have here. And this one, when you want to attach others, users order, yeah, order. So this model, so we just attach the ID of the other ID, we attach it to this. So overwrite others, and this is also going to be an array. It's an array, and then it's type. And goes the schema, the types, that's what ID. And then the reference is going to be the reference in orders. We'll create that model later. So that's orders, and then we need to create it, yeah. Create it out. So it's type of date, and default will be date now. Yeah. So I think that's it. Save it. So we'll come here and write our user log. I like to write it this way, user log. So it will be mongos.model. So now we'll bring in our TypeScript, which we called, what is it, our TypeScript, what do we call it, user model params. So we import user model params. See, it's already bringing it, so it will import it automatically. So we import user model params, and we're going to create the name of the schema of this model will be created as users. Let's call it users at the back end, and it's going to pass in. We are going to pass the user schema. So yeah, so everything is fine. So we're passing the user schema into that. So we're good to go. So that's all we need to write about. So we'll go to our controller. Let's create user controller quickly. User controller. Controller.ts. So this is the last controller we use. So we're going to import. We're going to import from Express. So we're going to import. We'll import request. We'll import response. Import response. I think these are the two we need just for now. And then let's continue. So we're going to say export const. So let's call it user registration. And it's going to be on async, which you take the request. The request will be equal to request, and then we have a response equal to response. So we're going to take in request structure. So if you come from the body, and the body will pass. If you take the body, the request of body is coming from the request. So if you come from the request of body, this is our reporter. So this will be request of body. So that's what the user is passing. So we'll get it from the request of body. That's where that's where we can fetch the user information, the login form information that the user is passing to the backend. So we get from request of body. So to do that now, we need to type check that too, and then we're going to pass it into use. We're going to write. We'll go back to our DTU. So we'll just come here and then we'll use these params, and then let's add something so that we can save the user ID. So we'll save the user ID. So we'll just say string and make it undefined so that I don't throw an error when we're in places where we are not going to be needing it. So that I don't throw an error in places where we're not going to be needing it. So we can also do confirm password here. And then we can make it undefined. We'll make it optional rather. So we'll come to our user controller and pass. We need to pass that in here. We call it user param. Yeah. Isn't it? Where's our yes, user model param. We can still use it. And from there we can take everything we need out. So it says bringing in. We have the last name. We'll take the email, take the mobile, take the password, take the confirm password. I think that's about that. That's about it. So let's see user registration. So we're now saying user. Why is it not bringing a user log? Where's our user model? Did we export it? Yes, we didn't export it. So we're supposed to export our user log, yes. So it will bring it down here. Good. So it's bringing it up. So we have our user log, and then we can pass the parameters in it. Last name. We'll pass email. We'll pass mobile number. We'll pass mobile number. We'll pass password. We'll pass confirm password. So just to show that we're really getting the value, let's console.log that. So let me say reg. Let's say request.body, and then we'll pass the user registration. So that's the user registration. Okay, we're supposed to pass a comma here. User registration. So let's try to submit the form now. So we're going to use a try catch to submit the form. So the first thing we want to do is we want to check the email. So to check the email, we are going to use the await function, and then we're going to use a method called find one. So if it finds it, that means the email already exists. So return an error if it exists, and tell the user that the email already exists. So you should choose another one. We don't want to have duplicates. We want to make the email unique, and you can write the unique in your model. So it's up to you. So we're going to say status is equal to 401. Okay, you can use 4022. So JSON, and then we want the message. We want to return a message, and we say email already exists or already in use by another user. So we're going to use an else. Okay, we still want to check. So we want to check also if the email is not in use, if it doesn't exist in a database. We want to match the password. We can do all this password hashing. We won't be covering that in this. Maybe I will just do that separately, but we'll not be covering that password hashing, all that. We will not be doing that in this tutorial. I could write it. I could do a separate tutorial to cover that later. I might. So, but now that is not within our scope. So I'm going to say if password. We need to compare we need to match the password. If password is not equal to confirm password, so we want to return an error. Password so we're going to return a response dot status. We're going to say JSON. And we want to tell the user that the password does not match. So else, if everything is fine, then we will see the user in the database by using user.save. And then I want to return a response. I want to send the response to the user. Let's just quickly copy this response, and then let's make it equal to 200. I say registration. Created successfully. Then we want to do the catch. And this is not going to be an object. So we want to return a response. Let's call this response 500. And let's say registration failed, and then let's pass the error. So we're having an error here. Let's check where's the error coming from. Oh, yeah. This is where the error is coming from. Yes. So we're good to go. So let's create the route quickly. We're going to call it user route. .ts. And let's import Express. Express from Express. SME const route router bottom. Express router. So let's say router dot is post request. So let's say, and then we call it register user. If you remember, we call it register user, and it will be create inside our controller. There's one more thing we haven't done. And I almost forgot. So inside our controller, we're supposed to export everything as what? As user controller. Export everything from, right? Do we? Oh, we made a silly mistake. Our user controller is inside route. Oh, so let's create users controller and copy everything from here. Copy everything from here. And you can see where's our index. So inside the route, we can delete this now. Let's delete this. So we have our user controller is inside controller now, and then we can come to this ways and say it's taking it already, just taking it. So we'll save it, and then we can take it out and then come to our user route so we can import. So we're having an error. There's the error coming from. So we can say bring it from user. So you see it brought it from so we have the error because we didn't save our user.ts here. That's why we have the error. So I just press Ctrl S to save it now, and everything is fine. Okay, so we can continue. Always remember to save. That's the lesson. All right, so here now we can now export router as user route. Export router as user route. Then in here we'll go to our Express now. I think we're good to go. Let's go to our Express app. Yes, Express app, and bring our user in here. So we'll just copy this and bring our user. So remember we called it user. Then we're going to import our user route. And no, we also need to add our user route to our index, the route index. Yes, let's bring it out and import it. And let's export it from here. So we're going to say we called it users route, isn't it? Users route. Yes, users route. So we can import. Let's undo this. Yes, good. You see, we want to import it this way. So everything is fine. We save, and then let's save our model. Let's make sure everything is saved. Let's save our controller, and let's save our route. So let's go to our registration and create our registration. So we have, let me call it brown. And you can see everything is working fine. So email, let me say brownfem@gmail. phone number 6754421. The password, let me just write something there. Let me just say fame 123. So another problem we are seeing now. Another problem you are seeing now is that the keyboard is covering the confirmed password. So we can quickly do that in our front end. So it's called keyboard avoiding view. So let's quickly pass that so that the obstruction will go away. So quickly, let's go to, and in here we're going to call, let's bring this in, and it is called, okay, let's import that from, we need to import it from React Native. So the first thing we're going to import, okay, we have keyboard avoiding view already imported. Then there's another one we need to import. It's called touchable without feedback. Yes, touchable without feedback. We need to import that too. And then we need to import, do we have platform? Yes, we already have platform. We need to import keyboard. We need to import keyboard all from React Native. So from here we can just write them. Sorry. Yes, let's come here. So I say const handle, let's say handle keyboard. So handle keyboard dismiss. So I say keyboard dismiss. That's what we need to do here. We'll come here. And touchable without feedback. Then we have keyboard avoiding view. So this two now. On press, then pass the handle keyboard dismiss to this. Then we want to make this keyboard avoiding view, we'll do the video, make it platform. So if it's OS, make it keyboard. So iOS, and if it's not, give it padding. Or give it height. Yes. That's what I need to write. So we have code in here. Everything so far. We have bring it here. That's all. Let's see how we go away. So that's it. So we're going to write this platform here anymore. Let's take it out. I'll take it out and make this back. Yes. I think we're good to go. Good. So now, if I bring it up, and you can see, cool, isn't it? It is beautiful, isn't it? And we still have, so now form data is still there. Cool, and everything is working fine, isn't it? Yeah. So we can do a confirm password. So let's say the confirm password now is not the same. Let's see what it will bring. You can see this is cool. Request failed with status 404 code. So login error. This is working beautiful because the password doesn't match. And you can see you have the console. It's consoling it here. And then if we go back to our back end, we give it an error user controller because the password does not match. Where is it? Error 4. We have a, okay, send login error. And register. It already exists. Okay, let's quickly go to our front end and check where the problem is coming from. So it's supposed to be submit user registration. User registration form. Okay, let's see what we called it. We can close this for now. Handle user login. We need submit user registration form. Submit user registration form and submit user login form. So it's supposed to be submit. Yeah. So if we click on register, it should be submit. So this one is submit. Oh, this is supposed to be submit user login. Yes. And this is submit user registration. So let's try it again. So you see it's bringing status code 402 now, and it's registration error, so it's working fine now. So if we come here, you see 402. 402. Okay, let's make this 403 and see the changes. And you can see it's bringing the information. You can see we have everything at our console here. This is beautiful, isn't it? You can see all the information here. So because the password doesn't match, we're supposed to get 403 good. So we see it's working. Yes, 403 registration error, and it's bringing the 403. So that's it, because password does not match. This password doesn't match. So, but you can see we have the console request.body that we did here, request.body, and it's bringing everything. We have all the information at the back end. This is beautiful, isn't it? This is cool. So let's make it, and then everything goes fine. We're supposed to have a registration completed successfully. Good. User registration completed successfully, and see it has redirected to the login page. That means everything is working out fine. So we can just go in there now and log in. Let's just complete the user login form so that we can log into the account. We've not written the backend for the login, so let's quickly write that. So we'll go back to our controller, and this time we'll write our login form to log in the user. So let's write the code to log in the user. So we're going to say export const as user login. It's going to take a sync. Okay, this is going to be similar to our registration, so just copy it and then we have to take some waste time. So come here now and call this user login. So user login is going to take. So here, we're going to bring in this double try catch block. Just trying to be dynamic things. So we're here, I'm taking the password and the email. So as you can see. So we can call this user login params. Okay, let's user login params from our ETO first. So let's put user login params here. Export interface. Login params. And then we're going to have email. The email will be string. And then we'll have password. We'll have password. It's also going to be string, because the string we use for both of them. That's what we're writing here. We'll come to our user and let's import user login params. Yes, user login params. So after that, continue. So continue here, we're going to take. We need this. I'll create a user now. We're going to select request. So we're here. Let's see if we're getting the information. So and then the password. Yes, let's update them. So we're going to check constant user. Let's see constant user here. And then we're going to look for find one. So we're going to find one. So to check if it exists. Then if it doesn't exist, so we want to check if the email exists in the database. So if it doesn't exist, that means the user does not exist. If you can't find the email that is passed, that means the user is not. That means our user doesn't exist in our database. So if no user, so we're going to return. Let's return 401, and let's say enter a valid username. Enter a valid username. Yes. So we also check the password and make sure that the password is the same. So we're going to check user.password. If it's not equal to the password passed. So if it's not equal to, if they're not the same, then we'll throw an error and say enter a valid password. Enter a valid. So we'll say enter a valid password else. So if all that is done and there's still no error, then we can now fetch the user ID. So if the password is correct, we will now come here and say If the password is correct, then we'll come here and say const. So that token we made mention of the other time. So we'll write the token here now, and it will be equal to the user dot the ID. So let's console the token so that you can see the token. So let's say user token, and then we will write our return. So we're going to return the token so that we can access it in the front end. So we'll return the token so that we can have access to it in the front end. So we'll return, that's what we're passing back. We're passing the token back. And then if there's an error, we want to throw the error. And let's call it 500, and then we'll pass a message. We'll pass a message and pass the error. Cool. And we're going to pass it inside the message. So user login, that's what we're passing to it. That's what we pass. So let's save it now and have our user login. Cool, you see user logged in successfully, and then you can see it passed the body. You can see the email and the number. They are down here, and you can see the token. See the token here. So we have the token now, and everything is working fine. So we've been able to do the registration and user login authentication. Now, since we have the user login and we've set the user token, now we have set the user token to inside async storage. So we store it inside async storage through the set item method, and then we can always get it anywhere in our app using the get item. And the idea is we are going to be passing the token into our get user ID. So that's what we'll use to complete our checkout.